close with. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
Okay. Today we will be talking about pesticides, why they're harmful, and why we shouldn't use them. So, agro-ecosystems are plots of land that are used for agriculture, and it's the interactions between the living and non-living in that agriculture system. And then ecosystems are natural interactions between the living and the non-living. So one of the big parts of an agro-ecosystem is the pesticides that we use. And those pesticides maintain weeds, and they get rid of diseases as well as pests that are often prone to the different crops that are being used. So the most common types of pesticides are the insecticides, which target insects. Then there's fungicide, which targets mold and other funguses that grow around plants. And then there are also herbicides, which are weeds and stuff that are often found by the crop area. So the most harmful of which is the insecticide. The insecticide causes the most harm to the environment and just in general. So why are pesticides harmful? Pesticide, there are two different kinds. There are fat-soluble as well as water-soluble pesticides. The fat-soluble pesticides are absorbed into insects, which are then passed through the food chain as insects are ingested by animals, and then those animals are ingest those to bigger animals, and then that creates a high concentration of these chemicals in the higher levels of the food chain. And then the next is the water-soluble pesticide, which will run off from the crop and the soil and then get into our water systems. So as runoff occurs, we get chemicals into our water, and if it gets into our water systems that we use for showering and drinking, it gets onto and in our bodies. It has been shown that pesticides with long-term exposure cause itching, sore throats, irritation to the eyes, and in extreme cases, it can cause cancer and other serious health effects. So pesticides are also extremely dangerous to the ecosystem. So runoff in the water from these pesticides will harm fish and the water ecosystems that the pesticides go to. And then the pesticides kill off pests, which are and insects and stuff. So then predators can't hunt those, and then they have to go to a different source for their food, which takes food from yet another predator. So it creates conflict between animals, and the ecosystem is thrown off balance. And the pesticides also reduce genetic diversity. So as they're being used, they're killing off more of a specific species, and that species cannot diversify and reproduce the way it naturally would. Many see the use of pesticides and the yield that we get with them from the crop, they see that as outweighing the side effects that come from the ecosystem. However, if this continues, the benefit to cost ratio is a lot different. So also in fertilizer, there's lots of nitrogen and phosphorus being added into our system, into the environment that isn't naturally there. Allison Power describes the addition of new nitrogen and phosphorus into the atmosphere has harmful effects on the natural ecosystem. So if pesticides are causing damage to the ecosystem, what should we do? So one of the biggest things we can do is allow the ecosystems to naturally restore themselves, whereas predators will hunt what they need, and it will take care of the imbalance there. And then there are also alternative pests that you can introduce into an agro ecosystem that will take care of the insect that is harming your crops. But one must be careful not to introduce something that's invasive and will cause other problems. So in conclusion, it is harmful to have these pesticides in our system and will create long-term bad effects. Thank you.